PWR app, your smart speakers, and on DAB digital radio across the county. Good to be with you. And coming up between now and 9, well, we'll look at a weekend of local rugby that saw some games on and some off as well. We'll round up the football from across the county and ask if this was the weekend the magic of the FA Cup truly returned. And we're stepping up to the Ocky tonight as well with local darts player Declan Coles. He's on to tell us about his bid to get a place on the PDC tour that took him to the Q School in Milton Keynes last week, and also to talk about how the sport is faring here in Pembrokeshire. So that is all to come. Let's get going. Fraser Watson, evening to you. How are you?
Evening, Ben. Very good. Long weekend covering sport, but enjoyable one. I was at, I say enjoyable, I was at Fishguard Whitland. Enjoyable to an extent, but more on that later. Did a bit for them BBC Wales then on Scarlets and Dragons. Just the 74 points conceded by the Dragons and the 48 by the Scarlets to keep me busy. And then yesterday I was at the Swansea.com for an FA Cup tie I thought would never end. We eventually went out on penalties, but at least there was a bit of entertainment and excitement there.
Yeah, I think we'll get into the FA Cup in the final part of the show, and we'll have a look back on some of the weekend's football as well in part 3. Gordon, evening to you. How are you?
I'm very good, Ben. And yourself?
Not bad at all. Another week, no Manchester United manager, but it does look like Michael Carrick is going to get confirmed tomorrow. Happy with that?
I'd be happy with whatever they do, to be honest with you.
Good man. Good man. And where did you watch your sport this weekend, Gordon?
I cut him off then, Bryce.
I noticed.
I'm used to it now.
I went to Goodwick versus Clarbesson Road, and I went to Hakin versus Kilgetty. So two top of the table sort of clashes, but I must say Hakin are looking in good form at this moment in time. 7 goals against Kilgetty, and I was in a t-shirt and shorts. You know, it was glorious sunny weather. What more do you want in Pembrokeshire?
I'll cut you off now, I think. Tom, how are you? All right?
Very well, thank you. Good performance from Broadhaven against a solid, I think it was Saundersfoot side in the end. And do you know what? I've even put myself available for this upcoming Saturday. Just throwing it out there on live radio.
I don't think the baby's sleeping very well, boys.
Someone's had enough of nappies.
We know the feeling, Fraser. Mate.
We played the trick ourselves, good.
Ironically, I had a grandson on Saturday, so yeah, I have to get out quickly.
Available for selection, Tom. If picked, of course, yeah?
If picked, of course. I have not been training for a long time.
I reckon you'll be straight back in. Well, listen, we will get to the football in the final part. We're going to talk darts as well in part 2. But let's start off with some local rugby, shall we? And I think we should start with a fine win for Narberth. We heard from head coach Ricky Guest in the first hour of the show, talking to KT. They beat Pontypridd. That was a good old-fashioned humdinger of a win. Who wants to go first to talk about this? Maybe we should get the former Whitland player to give us his thoughts. Phrase, that was a seriously decent win, wasn't it, for the Otters at the weekend?
Yeah, thanks for that. But no, on a serious note, it's the result of the weekend, Ben. It's a serious result for Ricky Guest's side. Sorry, look, you know, they've been hovering above that relegation zone ever since the thing kicked off, haven't there? There was no discontent. I never sensed that, but there was certainly a bit of concern about the way they started the season. Obviously, there was a coaching change, Ricky stepping up. You know, there's always going to be a bit of uncertainty there, even though he was a familiar face. Look, to beat Pontypridd, regardless whether or not at home, it is a massive statement. They're still a huge club. We saw, me and Tom were just talking about the crowd that they drew in actually over Christmas. They were top of the table, I believe. They're odds on to win this premiership. And you know, to hear how Narberth played and the fact they were hanging on late on and bodies on the line, and that's what you want, and that's the sort of win that can galvanise a season. So, you know, it's a great result for them. It's a great result for Pembrokeshire Rugby. That has to be said as well.
Yeah, sometimes, Gord, you do get these special results, don't you? And as Fraser said, Pontypridd favourites for the title, top of the league, albeit having played a couple of games more. But that will go down as one of Narberth's best wins in recent times, I think.
Definitely. Hopefully that is a turning point for them this season as well, because that will obviously boost their confidence, beating the top side like Pontypridd. So, yeah, Ricky Guest will be delighted with that result. And, you know, let's hope the boys can take it further now as the season progresses and get a few more wins and get themselves up the table a bit further. They're capable of doing it. That result just shows how well they've come on this season.
And a big game this week, actually, to follow on from it, Ben. Now the big test is to back it up. There's still only 6 points clear of relegation. He's just over one win away. A couple of defeats can slide back down, but they're away to Cross Keys, who are just a place above them in the table. And to back up the win against Pontypridd now would be an even bigger statement. So it's an opportunity.
Another former first-class side as well.
Absolutely.
So Pontypridd is a strong area. Cross Keys as well. They were in the old Welsh League years ago. They got some decent players up in that area. Yeah. So Narberth will have a tough test this coming Saturday. You're right.
I can imagine that was a good clubhouse to be in on Saturday after that win. And I did like what Ricky Guest said to KT. He said I think he was doing dry January up until Saturday. But he did say he was probably going to break that and maybe have a pint to celebrate. And you kind of can't blame him, really, can you?
Absolutely not. No. I think that's if that's excuses as good as any, Ben, for breaking that nonsense.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Well done, Narberth. And as Fraser said, another tough game to come at the weekend. We should talk about, maybe we'll have to go to the former Whitland player again here, because we did get a reaction, didn't we, from both camps in the first hour of the show. Fraser, from Fishguard and Goodwick and from Whitland. That was a huge win for Fishguard and Goodwick, 62-0. But for Whitland, that kind of up and down season continued, didn't it?
Yeah, they had the away win at Betws before Christmas, which briefly seemed to give them hope, put them out of the bottom two. But, you can't underestimate just how poor Betws have been this season. I think they're on -4 points. They've been decimated most weeks, and they lost every single game. And look, I've seen the 2 games for Whitland since. I was there before Christmas, Carmarthen Athletic. I was there for that away game, Fishguard, on Saturday. And there's no dressing over it, Ben. It looks dire from them right now. They're struggling to raise a regular side. And the players that are there at the moment really aren't fronting up and aren't playing like they're good enough for Division 2 rugby. Relegation to Division 3 looks inevitable if they lose this Saturday to Penclough. They really believe that. They've played Betws twice, so they can't look for any more gimme wins there. They do still have to play Nantgaredic, so maybe see what they can put out for that one. But there seems no cohesion there. They look like a team that aren't training, and the players they have, like I said, they lack the quality they need to compete in that division.
Is that disappointing, Fraser, to see? Is that disappointing to see? Because
of course it's disappointing, but it runs in cycles, and as a form player, it's always disappointing. You don't want to see your old side struggling, but Gordon will tell you that it runs in cycles. What they have to do now, Ben, is get this next cycle right. It might mean a couple of years of pain to blood youngsters and to rebuild the team again. The era they had is gone. It's gone. Forget being championship, forget being neck and neck with Narberth and all that. It's time to rebuild. And if they can get a youth team going and youngsters playing, it might mean a couple of years of bad results. We all had it. St. David's had it for years. Well, we were trying to get something going again. But quick fixes aren't going to work. Because I think that's what they've tried in the last couple of years. They brought boys in from here, there, and everywhere. They've been quick fixes. They haven't stayed. They've tried to stay at the level they were without really backing it up in terms of what came behind that. And that's what I believe it takes, And I have to say, I want to say one thing, Ben, for Gareth Davis, their player coach at 9. He's fronted up as a player and after the game as a coach in a really testing few weeks. He always talks to us. He shirks nothing. He's been one of their best players in the last couple of weeks. Ideally, he probably doesn't want to be starting every game and playing 80 minutes. So kudos to him to keep going. But boys have got to keep going for him now.
And Gordon, what do you make of what Fraser said there? Not necessarily just about Whitland, but just in general. Clubs do have these moments, don't they? And I think Fraser makes an interesting point about it being a cycle, and you have ups and downs, and it's kind of how you recover from those low points that test the club, doesn't it?
Definitely. Welsh rugby's going through it at this moment, Ben, as you can see. Whitland have had a lot of quality during my era, 70s, 80s, 90s. My son played for them only a few years ago, and they last won the Pembrokeshire Cup. They've always had good players, quality players, game promotion as well when my son was playing.
That's
as
right,
well.
yeah.
It's
started to build back, didn't they?
Yeah, just starting. Yeah, as Fraser said, those boys who were playing then have how left or retired from rugby, and it's bringing the quality back through again. It's difficult, and they haven't quite got it at this moment in time. But I know that the people like Paul Kirk, who's Whitland through and through, he'll be looking to try and improve that with everything within the club junior section and youth section. And, they'll be looking through what they can do to improve it over the next seasons. And mark my words, Whitland will be back at some point.
And we should mention Fishguard as well. We've talked all about Whitland there. They've been blooding a young side. actually.
Yeah.
And
they've been through it as well.
Yeah,
Fraser.
and that's coming to fruition now. And I think I can't see Fishguard trying for promotion in the next couple of years, looking at the makeup of their team. But if it's a team that can stick together for a few years, they certainly can. They are rebuilding. They've got a few veterans in there, but they're rebuilding in the right way. And they did a very efficient job Saturday, to be fair.
Talking about youngsters as well, we had the Pembrokeshire derby, Neyland against Haverfordwest. It sounded a good game, this. Haverfordwest were 38-26 winners. And I think, Gordon, the stat on pembrokeshiresport.co.uk is that Haverfordwest's 4 tries all came from 18-year-olds, which is great to see, isn't it?
Yeah, bonus point win at Neyland is a good result, considering they lost the week before against Tumble at home, which would have been bitterly disappointing for them. Neyland have got an excellent side. They fly off Rio Phillips actually came through the Haverfordwest youth section. He was playing against his former players, his teammates from last season. You've got Adam Phillips playing fly half for Haverfordwest, a very talented kid. Ivan Williams, who had a couple of tries. He's the son of Stephen Williams, who played for Haverfordwest a couple of decades ago. There's a lot of good quality. We're always quick to say that youngsters take time to play at that level, but there was a good lot. Yori Curtis, a hooker for Haverfordwest, he's made himself a regular place, coming straight into first team rugby. Not everybody can do it, but he's doing it well at this moment in time. And they're playing some decent rugby as well. They're not afraid to let the ball get some air, and they're making some great breaks. And fair play. Both sides played very well.
It sounds an obvious thing to say, but it shows the benefit of having a full youth side and a competitive.
Well, yeah,
team.
nail on the head, Fraser. You've got to have youngsters coming through. As I said before, we've said it on you before, they can't all get into that side straight away, but it takes time. It would be nice to see some more second team rugby being played as well, because they can play at that level, know. But hey ho, both those clubs are doing it the right way.
I'll just mention 2 more, then we'll have a look at actually a few games that were called off as well. But Crymych were beaten away to Bonamine. It's been a difficult season in the Championship West for Crymych. Tenby, though, had a good win. They beat Hendy at home, 33-17. Of course, Hendy were the side that beat Tenby earlier on in the season. Tenby's only defeat, wasn't it, in fact, so far this season. So Tenby starting the year with a victory there, Fraser, to stay in contention.
Yeah, picked up where they left off, and they've lost centre Liam Price, who's been a frequent try scorer for them. So it's a good result for them. Catapults them back into the promotion picture. Big few weeks for them now, of course. I think they're lying in second now, aren't they? All on the brink there. And look, they've got a lot to play for. They've still got the WRU, their Division 1 Cup competition as well, and the Pembrokeshire Cup. So a big few months coming up for them.
I think, were you at the St David's game as well, Fraser? They were 45-3 winners against
No, I was at Fishguard Whitland. I wasn't at the St David's game. I did report on it for Gordon Bill here. And again, Llanybother, a team that's been badly struggling. It was just St David's. It's just about, especially when it's your first game after Christmas, going out and getting the bonus point and getting the job done. They struggled to break them down for 40 minutes. You might expect that heavy pitch, Llanybother scrapping for everything, but they came away in the second half quite comfortably then.
There were some challenges as well, weren't there, for some of our sides? In Division 3 West, Tumble against Cardigan was off because the ground wasn't fit. But Milford Haven against Narberth was off because Narberth Athletic couldn't field a team. Tenby United Athletics away game to Newcastle Emlyn was off because, again, Tenby were unable to raise a side, which is a surprise, actually. We've spoken quite a bit about the pool of players that Tenby have. And the Pembroke Dock Harlequins as well. They were away to Pontebellum, but that match couldn't go ahead. So there are some challenges still, aren't there? Challenges remain for teams to consistently be able to get 15 players on the pitch, Gordon.
They do. Oh, sorry, Gordon. You go first.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. I think clubs, they postpone these games too easily, to be honest with you. It's quite easy to have some of your star players not available and then drop out and not to play at all, which is very disappointing, to be honest with you, because at the end of the day, we're just talking about youth players coming through. That is the opportunity when you haven't got a full side to start putting those boys in there to play at that level. But we do tend to think it's win at all costs, instead of having the attitude of improving the whole squad and having a look at different players. But I'm not blaming them. It's for whatever reason. They could be genuine reasons why they were postponed, but I don't like to see what I just said if that has happened.
Phrase?
Yeah, Gordon's right, mate. It isn't good enough. I'm sorry. It's been a difficult period for clubs, and we can go over the same old excuses: the social climate change, times have changed, economic factors, all the rest of it. Teams having to travel, boys working, and so on. And there would have been many individuals who couldn't play for legitimate reasons. But these are teams who've been weeks without rugby now, scuppered by the weather before Christmas. Many scuppered the first Saturday after Christmas. There was no excuses for Saturday. Teams should be chomping at the bit. There's been dates that have been going for a long time. Pembroke Dock, top of the table in Division 4, not raising a side to go to Pontebera. The top two in the division.
Yeah.
They're in a chance of a title. And unfortunately, since COVID, there's been too lax. There's no real sanctions on this team, so there's no real motivation for teams to go there if they don't fancy it. Great days on Saturday for Narberth and Tenby. I'm not tainting what their first teams did at all, but they've entered second teams because they've got to be sustainable long term in the WRU system. Otherwise, you shouldn't enter them. They shouldn't be not raising sides to go there. No one in Division 3, 4, whatever should be not raising sides. So it is disappointing. And I'm not picking on the clubs we just mentioned, because so many other clubs have been guilty of it over the course of this season. We've called it out. But sometimes you can make all the excuse in the world, and sometimes the coaches are powerless, and so is the rest of the club. You've got to look at a group of boys and just say, look, you've got to front up and go, and stop making excuses. Sometimes in legitimate cases they can't, but more often than not, I think they probably could.
Yeah, okay. Read more on the weekend's games, of course, at pembrokeshiresport.co.uk. Some great coverage there and some really good match reports as well. That's the weekend's local rugby. We're going to do football in part 3, but next we will be stepping up to the hockey. I think we've covered darts once or twice on the show, but we're really looking forward to chatting to Declan to find out about his bid to make it onto the PDC tour, and also just a bit of a chat really about the state of darts in Pembrokeshire. Looking forward to that. He's our guest, and Declan will be with us in just a few moments on Pure West Sport.
Eaton-Evans and Morris Solicitors have traditional values, but they have